In December 1965, Mary Beth Tinker, a 13-year-old junior high school student, and a group of students decided to wear black armbands to school to protest the war in Vietnam. Later, the school board got wind of the protests and created a policy that stated that any students wearing an armband will be asked to remove it, with refusal to do so will result in a suspension. Despite the warning, students wore the armbands and were suspended. During their suspension, the students' parents sued the school for violating their children's right to free speech. A U.S. district court sided with the school, ruling that wearing armbands could disrupt learning. The students appealed their ruling to a U.S. Court of Appeals, but lost and took their case to the United States Supreme Court. In 1969, the United States Supreme Court ruled in a 7-2 decision in favor of the students. The High Court agreed that students' free rights should be protected and said students don't shed their constitutional rights at the schoolhouse gates.
Which part of the Constitution was affected by this case and how? The ruling of the Tinker v. Des Moines case impacts the interpretation of the U.S. Constitution, bringing into question the extent to which the First Amendment applies to students. As stated in the opinion for the case, students don't shed their constitutional rights at the door. However, it is also stated that the First Amendment does not concern aggressive, disruptive action, or even group demonstrations. Our problem involves direct, primary First Amendment rights akin to pure speech. When applying the First Amendment to students, we must keep these interpretations in mind. Students are allowed to express their values, but only to a certain extent. Their speech must not be inappropriate, malevolent, threatening, or disrupting. This case set basic guidelines of evaluation when dealing with student speech.
The social impact this case had at the time of the ruling and in present day is that schools could no longer fully censor what students wore to school. Students were now able to express themselves in whatever way they wanted as long as it still fits school standards and does not interrupt school or learning.